Hey guys, welcome back to the Ghost and Friends YouTube channel. It's the Texas and Kentucky pregame show with the usual suspects. Everyone doing okay today, guys?
Yeah.
Peyton is supporting Baylor University this week.
No, I'm supporting Wicked. If people know, they know.
Nobody knows what that is.
She doesn't want Army to beat Notre Dame. It's a shame.
That is kind of sad. Well, we can talk about those games later. Kyle, don't do that, man. If you want to be on the show, ask to be on the show. I'm going to tell you the same thing,
You
Joseph.
can do a celeb shot for me.
There you go. If Peyton bounces because of the news and you want in, Kyle, just text me and I'll send you the link.
Yeah, do that.
Dude. But, all right, guys, thanks for being here, all you guys watching. And throw a quick like on this video. We're going to have some fun, of course, talking Texas and a little bit of Kentucky. I have Twitter. I'm going to ask you guys, does Kentucky scare you at all? Anything about this game give you concern or pause? Whoever wants that, feel free to go with it.
No. I don't have any reasoning other than that there's not a very good football team. Our defense is too good. I just think our defense, it's going to be really hard for Kentucky to move the ball on us. And I just think even if it's closer, I just think our defense is going to be able to stop them all game. So.
Nash, Peyton, y'all worried?
Nash is on mute.
Nash, you're mute.
Nash is on mute.
Yeah. Not really, but if there was something to give me cause for concern, it is they have a Jamarian Wilcox has looked really good in the past couple of weeks. One against a really good Tennessee defense, especially against the rush. So he ran the ball 17 carries, 102 yards versus Tennessee. So like Jamarian Wilcox is a ball player, and Texas is going to have to bring it to face him.
So no concerns.
I'm exhausted after worrying about Arkansas that I don't really have much left of worry. So I'll just leave it on these two guys that I agree with them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just the defense. We got a amazing defense.
If you were worried, you shouldn't be worried anymore because this is next level here. I am going to tell y'all a dorky story really, really quick regarding Gladiator, but I was in high school and then Chung was at Texas, and the moment that I found out he was watching Gladiator before every single game that he played in, guess who else watched Gladiator before every single game they played in? The only issue is that I played 3 varsity sports, and so I was there watching it twice a week during basketball season, twice a week during baseball season. I love that movie, and hopefully I'm going to watch the second one. I don't have a lot of expectations. Thanks for being here, Matt. Don't have a lot of expectation, but I loved it when I saw that tweet about Sark taking the guys. Similar to y'all, I have not much concern about this. I did not really mean my 84-6 score prediction that I put on the timeline. I try to make one pick in my group of picks every week that maybe makes people laugh a little bit. Hopefully that worked, but I have no worries here. I think Texas has a field day with Kentucky. I think we are kind of fortunate to get them later in the season. They've been through a lot. They've had a lot of injuries. They're still beat up. That offense is just so bad. They've got a couple of good pieces. You mentioned Wilcox. Nash, can you say the other back's name?
No. I'm not even going to. I am not even going to attempt it. I mean, I have it already pulled up here.
Just attempt it.
Anybody that wants to go ahead and take a rip at that thing right there. Yeah, go on ahead.
Demi Sumo Karngbai.
He's a sumo. He's sumo guy. Sumo.
Yeah. And but him and Wilcox, they're a good backfield. You look at what Wilcox is doing and averaging, per carry over the last few weeks is really, really strong. But Brock Vandegrift has only thrown for 9 touchdowns, and he's up against what is arguably the nation's best pass defense and maybe the nation's best defense. And so I don't see Kentucky moving the ball a lot. Texas will probably stack the box a little bit to try to take care of our guy Sumo and Mr. Wilcox. Just nothing to be worried about here. I think Texas is on a mission. You look at the way Texas has played in November over the last couple of seasons. Quinn not turning the ball over last week, I think it's big. And then if he carries that over into this game, I can see that 3-score spread on this game. Texas flirting with that or maybe covering. But all right, so we'll continue on. No one really concerned here. Fan base doesn't seem concerned. The comments, no one really seems concerned. But let's just play the hypothetical. If Texas was to get in trouble in this game, if we were to maybe go into the fourth quarter in a 1-score game, what is going wrong on the football field?
We've turned over the football, and they're running the ball and basically keeping the ball out of Texas's hands. And every single time that we get on the field, we keep making a mistake or we go 3 and out, and we just don't do anything with it, and we waste possession. And then they keep running the football, and then before you know it, it's if you want to go and look back to a game that I'm trying to kind of reference, games like Washington, where you look up and time of possession is just it's too lopsided, and Texas has nothing to do but to sit there and just take shots down the field every single play because they have to get that many points back.
Yeah, I mean, probably the usual suspects as far as penalties, turnovers. Y'all have anything else, Peyton or Gage?
Just for me, I think, kind of what Nash said. I kind of go back to the Georgia game that Kentucky played them tied in, 13-12. I look at kind of what Kentucky did to Georgia. They were able to run the ball. They had 170 yards rushing, only 3.8 or a 3.8 average, and then but the big thing was the time of possession, right? They held the ball for 35 minutes compared to Georgia's 25 minutes, so 10-minute difference. And I think that's what they're going to have to do is just kind of hold the ball, sort of like what Mississippi State did in that first half, where they just kind of like controlled the clock and were able to run the ball and stuff like that. And Texas going 3 and out, not being able to have long sustained drives, and even when they do score, it's probably on a big play or something like that. So I think that would be the recipe for Kentucky.
Yep, ball control for sure. What about you, Miss Peyton?
I think that I just have a lot more. I mean, I agree with them. I mean, we don't have to go into detail, but we can get to our game balls. But just no 3 and out for Quinn, and I want him to have a really good, steady game going into A&M. That's all I ask.
Yep, fair enough. Peyton, pardon me. You might have to leave a little bit early, so let's go ahead and do the game.
No, I don't like going first because I don't like taking your guys. I'm good. I'm here till 3, so I don't want to go first.
You're here till 3 for sure? Okay, that's fine. Ash, Gage, whoever wants first. You can do offense, defense, both, whatever you'd like.
I'll go first. I'm gonna take Jaden Blue. I just think that we're gonna be able to run the ball. I think that Kentucky's run defense isn't very good. I think they're ranked 13th in the SEC, and that's kind of like their weakness on their defense is the rushing. So I think that we'll be able to run the ball. So I'm going to give it to him. And then on the defensive side, I'll go Makuba. I'll say Makuba gets an interception at some point. I think we're going to get up a couple possessions, and Kentucky's going to be like, oh, okay, well, we kind of have to throw the ball now. And I think our secondary is going to make a play, but I'll go Makuba. I think I'll give him the big game pull out of everybody in the secondary.
I like it. What you got, Nash?
Muted again, Nash.
Yeah,
he's on mute.
I'll start with defense because I Vernon Broughton. I think this is just one of those like this. I'm going to give it to a senior or a junior for any of his picks, but I like Vernon Broughton one because he's been a clutch player for Texas, and I think this being his last game in burnt orange at Texas probably, and unless we go and lose a game in the SEC championship and we have a home game at DKR for the playoffs, this is his last time in DKR. And I think that this is going to hit a little bit differently for some of these guys. And a guy like Vernon Broughton, I expect to kind of show up and, be really consistent, but also have a little bit of that motivation behind him. So I got Vernon Broughton there. I'm leaving one open for Peyton, who I expect her to take.
No, I'm not doing him. Yeah, we keep going.
You're not okay. Well, okay, then fine. I'll take Jade Barron. She's not taking Jade. Jade is my. I mean, like this. You want to talk about the Austin dude? Like this is. He's the leader of this football team, right? Like especially on defense. Quinn is probably like the overall leader, but like if you had to pick two leaders, it's Jade and Quinn. And I'm not going to take Quinn. I'm sorry, Ghost. I'm going to take Gunnar Helm. I just, Gunnar Helm is when I was making that like a little highlight video for the seniors. Man, Gunnar Helm, like it was hard to leave a few of his catches out. He just plays with so much energy and emotion. You gotta like he gets the best compliment that you could ever give a football player. He's just a football player.
Yep, he's a dog, and I also think he's one of the top leaders on the team for sure. All right, Peyton, who you got?
I'm gonna go. I just have to go Quinn because I really want him to have a good possible last game. And then I'm not gonna lie, not Jade was not mine. It was Vernon. So I'm gonna go the other senior, and I'll go Alfred Collins. I want my big boys up front to do well.
I like it. No, I love that a lot. So you've got Quinn, you got Alfred Collins.
Yeah.
Correct. Gage, tell me your two again. Makuba and
Blue.
Who?
My boy Blue.
Jaden Blue.
You are very confident in that. A little bit of a whisper there. I guess I'll take Blue. Nash, you said. Tell me.
Helm and Barron.
Okay, so you didn't take Broughton technically.
Yeah, well, because Peyton said she wasn't going to take Barron. I was leaving him open for Peyton.
Okay.
I figured she would, but
appreciate you being here, Mr. Jack from Dallas.
Dallas, I see you.
Okay, Dallas, Texas. Dang it, Nash.
Yeah, Helm.
Gunnar Helm's going to be the offensive player of the game. I don't care. He probably scores 7 times in this one. It's just what he's going to do out there. I'll go Bond. Let me go Isaiah Bond. It could arguably, could be his last game in DKR for a lot of reasons. And I'll take Bond. I think he'll have a big game. We've need to get him a little bit more involved in the offense. I think we put an emphasis on that. I think Texas tries to jump on Kentucky early in this one, rest up a lot of guys in the second half, play the whole roster. And so with that being said, I think Bond will be a big part of that early attack. And then defensively, hey, I like this. This is almost, I want to say Trey Moore. He's been playing really dang well. It's really, really hard to choose right here. I guess I'll go Michael Taff again. Rolled with Michael Taff last week in Arkansas. Said he would have 2 turnovers. Or 2 picks. He had 1. So Brock Vandergrift 7 picks on the season. Doesn't really put the ball in the air a whole lot. But give me Michael Taff. Get involved. Get a pick.
And you know what? You can get Helm. I think we need to give an offensive lineman some credit here, man.
I see. Almost get the whole offensive line.
I was thinking about. I forgot about Kelvin. This is Kelvin Banks' last game here too.
Yeah, exactly.
This sucks, man.
Yeah,
it's like when you get to this part of the season, this is really like when it gets to be bittersweet.
God, Kyle, this is insane. What are we?
Oh, dude, Jesus. Hey, man, that's shit.
I mean, we post almost all comments on the board.
That is
happening.
Some Twitter beef. That's a Twitter beef.
We'll talk about it later.
Right there. I don't.
Don't worry about it.
Craziness, Peyton. Craziness is what's going on there. Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. Giving love to the big hogs, but yeah. So those are players of the game. In the comments, who do you have? Who are your offensive, defensive game balls? Ant Hill is always involved. You can see him having a really big game here because Kentucky is, as I said, it's going to put a heavy emphasis on running the football, trying to control the clock, and keeping Texas's offense off the field. I mean, that's Kentucky football. That's the way that they hung with Georgia. That's the way that they beat Ole Miss in Oxford. Spin move was pretty great. Josh said no low stuff. No low stuff. What we mentioned on the channel. We're good. We're moving on. But so, I mean, a lot of Texas fans don't know much about Kentucky. They do have a few, really, really nice pieces on this team. We talked a little about the running backs. Dane Key's been the go-to at receiver. Barian Brown coming into the season, a lot of people thought he had a pretty high NFL grade. Not really the offense to really break free of his skills and talents. So he does have low numbers, only has a few touchdowns on the year, and then even Dane Key, who has it's their leading receiver, only has 2 touchdowns on the year. And so I think we have. I don't know. I thought the super chat thing would be up right now, but
Oh my God.
Josh, we'll get into we'll talk about the low stuff. Neither of the participants are on Twitter anymore. I don't know. Maybe one of them is technically. I guess we haven't rolled out the card attendant, but we'll talk about that later. Definitely not important or relevant for Texas, Kentucky, but it is regarding Texas Twitter. Golly. But so yeah, the running backs, Dane Key, Barian Brown's pretty good, but on defense, man, Texas is going to have to do a really good job blocking the big guy, Deion Walker. Deion Walker is a hoss. He is 350, 6'6". Not only do they line him up at D tackle and let him shade every which way, he comes off the edge sometimes. He is a big dancing bear on the football field. A lot of fun to watch. So if Texas is having trouble protecting Quinn, pay attention to Deion Walker and where he's at, because he probably is involved in that. We're going to have to move him around in the run game and whatnot. But let's get into predictions. Peyton, we don't have a lot more time before you have to go. So you start us off if you're ready, or if you want us to go first, that's fine too.
No, I'll go first.
Okay.
Wait, is anyone going to the game or no? We didn't talk about that before. No one's going to the game?
I got a wedding. This is the first game I'm missing in the Sark era. I've never missed a home game.
I knew that. I knew Nash was going, and Ghost is ghosting me. No pun intended, but it's fine.
I told you I'm supposed to be there. So, but I'm also.
Anyway, I'm going. Okay, my prediction is I'll go 42-10. I want them to have some high scores for the senior day, and 42-10.
Okay, 42-10. I like that. What do you got up there, Mr. Gage? Jeez.
Yeah. So the last time that these two teams played was 1951, and Texas won 7-6. So I'm going to say that Kentucky is going to score 6 points, and Texas is going to score more than 7 this time. They're going to score 27. So I'm going to 27-6, Texas.
Okay. Real quick, Josh, Kentucky's line is not comparable to A&M's defensive line. A&M is deeper. They're way better on the edges. But it is a nice little warm-up, because it's not a bad little Kentucky defense that Texas is about to see. Jonathan, sorry, buddy. We'll talk about the Aggies here in just a moment, buddy. We'll get to your team. All right. Nash, hit us with that prediction, brother.
I'm going to go I'll say 37-6. I think that I really think this defense is going to show out. The Kentucky struggles as a pass team. While they have some really good running backs, Texas we're not an elite run defense like last year, but we're not elite, if that makes sense, right? Like we're really good. We're a top 20 run defense in the nation,
right?
So this isn't something that's like, it's not like a deficiency. If there was a deficiency, that's what you're going to attack, right? But they're still really good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a hard time for them to score. They might get the ball to field goal range, but I just think that there's going to be a point where they end up having to give up on field goals and they start giving the ball back to Texas. But I got 3 field goals on the day for Burt Auburn and 4 touchdowns. So, good send-off for Burt at DKR, and then good send-off for Quinn Ewers and the rest of the offense.
Defense too, man. I like that. I would love to see Burt Auburn involved, but only in a blowout. I give him 3 tries, but we better win by 20 plus at least. Big Burt fan, but gonna miss that guy. I really am. Jonathan says 30-20 type of game. The only thing, Jonathan, I'll say is that if we're letting Kentucky sneak up on us, and the next to last game of the season, I'm not very. My interpretation of this football team is way off, to be honest with you. I think that we'll be dialed in. Obviously, the A&M game means a great deal either way. You put all of everything at stake. If you lose Kentucky, go to A&M with 2 losses. Sark is. I'm not worried about Kentucky. That's all I'll say. I don't think anyone's sneaking up on us. Not this week.
I think if Kentucky scores 20 points, I'd be shocked if they scored 20 points. We've only given up 20 points twice this season, and one was obviously Georgia, who had 4 possessions that they scored on within 35 yards, and then the weird Vanderbilt game. So I doubt Kentucky scores 20 points.
And I'm almost considering changing it to a shutout. Like it's just this. I predict this defense is going to be here, man.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a good game. I'm going to give them 6 points.
It would be. It's
no
hard
touchdowns.
It's hard to see somebody scoring on this team.
I am going to look up and see what the Kentucky team total is, because I bet that it's not more than like 13.
Yeah, they're averaging 21.9 points
per game,
which is 109th in college football and 16th in the SEC. So they are by far the worst offense that we've faced this year.
Yeah, they're 107th in yards per game, 105th in yards per play, 110th in fourth down conversion, 95th in third down conversion, 80th in red zone scoring, 80th in explosive plays. A lot of these were top 5 or top 20 in the nation. Well, really, most of those were number 1 in the nation on those stats. And then passing, they're just it's just god awful. Don't even.
I nailed it. Team total 13.5. I would be shocked if they scored more than 14. 17 would be like pushing it hard. I just don't see how, unless they really just break off chunks in the run game. Even if they have success and move the ball a little bit through the run game. I mean, our defense, we've bent a little bit, but we're not. Don't see Kentucky breaking.
Or if it's 40-0. Going into the fourth quarter,
we're 7th in the nation explosive runs drives on defense. Like these safeties just don't let anything go by.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
we're great at tackling,
and it's not trying to be arrogant or overconfident in this particular game. It's just the matchups on the field. It just is really, really hard to believe Kentucky can hang around. And so I'm not going 84-6. I will go 42-10. I'll give Kentucky 10, double digits.
That's literally what I just said.
Did you really?
Yeah.
We'll change it because that's my show. Okay.
I went first.
No, I'll go 41-10. Okay. Bert gets 2 field goals. Now, I'm sorry. We went way too long between your pick and my rambling to make my pick. So
my rambling.
Not what you said.
I don't think this is a trap game. Like, knock on wood. Hold on 1 second. Like, I just think our trap game was Vanderbilt and we overcame it. I don't know. I just don't think this is. But I do see a lot of people on Twitter that are like, trap game. I just it's not confidence. I just think we got it out of the way.
No, Kentucky just sucks. So, yeah.
They're not good. I mean, they've had 2 football games where they look competent, so you can't completely rule it out, I guess, but they were much earlier in the season. Kentucky has had a good bit of injuries, and they still have the same terrible quarterback play. So
yeah, they would have to, like we were saying, they'd have to, really muddy the game up. Like, I don't think scoring 20 points even for Kentucky. Like, if they score 20 points, it's obviously a great offensive game for them, considering they've only done it twice this year, and once was against Murray State. So I think that really their win would be 13-10 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just don't see them holding us to that amount of points.
The way that they beat Ole Miss, that's the exact same. They would have to win the turnover battle by multiple turnovers, probably 3+ to actually win this game. They'd have to win it by a lot. Special teams would have to be a part of it, which, hey, we haven't been great on special teams, so who knows?
Don't say that about my guy.
Which guy?
Wait, we haven't. When is the last? Or has Silas never had a return for a touchdown, or has he? Or I just don't remember.
He hasn't had a return for a touchdown yet. I don't think.
Not at Texas, no.
Not at Texas.
He's been close. He's been close to busting a couple, but.
Okay.
I mean, it's coming. It's just I just don't want the balls turned over on a special team. We've got a great defense. Just don't help anybody out. If he doesn't run on back, no skin off my back. If he averages 4 yards a return, no skin off my back. Let's just protect the football. Maybe not field it on the 1.
I've been hard on the special teams, but I think I passed that torch to Joseph. I'm letting him handle that now.
Ghost, I swear to God, Silas Bolden, when they had that punt that was going into the deep into their territory, it bounced on the 15.
Yeah,
you could see that Silas Bolden was ready to return it, and the ball bounced the other way, and it was like, oh, thank God.
That's
because he was like, oh, I can't get it now.
That's what we need. We need more bounces like that, where he can't even begin to think about it, because it's already
he's about to do it on the 5-yard line, feel the bouncing. But look, hey, you know what? I love the confidence. That's a guy that has confidence in life.
I like it too. I just have flashbacks to 2001 Texas Oklahoma Red River, Nathan Basher standing on the 10-yard line, tracking the ball to the 3, fair catching it on the 3, and it's just like, all right, starting the game-winning drive or potential game-winning drive on the 3-yard line against an early 2000 Oklahoma defense. So it's just a little bit of old PTSD there, but all right, we're not concerned with Texas and Kentucky. I think we all believe Texas rolls. We think the seniors are sent out in the right way. It'll be a great environment, great atmosphere. Somebody get Peyton a ticket if you have one.
I just bought it while Nash was rambling.
Okay, nice.
But also, you can give me a ticket. It's okay.
And so, with that being said, let's move on. We're going to talk a little bit. There's a big game in Norman, Oklahoma this week for Alabama's playoff purposes, at least. Any of you guys think that Oklahoma can hang with Alabama and maybe make that game a little bit interesting? The spread on it's 13.5. Primetime kickoff in Norman. OU's getting killed?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. No, I mean, I'm not. I get it.
Farouk is like questionable, right? Like, yeah.
It would be hilarious. I actually think that, like, I don't know, like I had like the voices in my head like saying like, hey, this might happen, like Oklahoma, because it would be hilarious if that's how they got to ball eligibility. Alabama dropping the bag. One, like the Alabama fans would be ripping Kalen DeBoer to shreds. I love that. I honestly, who cares if Oklahoma makes it into the Cheez-It Bowl? They already suck, right? Like we already know how their season's going. So, you know, they would be nice if that gave them confidence moving for the future just by getting to a 6th win. But yeah, I don't know. Like I've kind of started to feel like that could happen the last few weeks, or not last couple of days. Ghost.
Oh, dude, I'm with you. I think Oklahoma.
You're for OU?
Oklahoma.
No, I'm not for OU, but this is college football. Like crazy shit happens in the sport. Crazy shit happens.
It's a possibility.
I tweeted and said that I've convinced myself that Oklahoma is going to make Alabama sweat a lot. I think that I can't explain it, as Nash is saying. It's an inclination. It's a feeling. Maybe bad breakfast tacos. I'm not sure, but Oklahoma plays Bama really, really tight on senior day and senior night in Norman. They rally around Brent Venables, around those seniors that returned, even though it didn't work out. But I don't know. It's weird. That's my feeling. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. That's the sense that I get. Oklahoma can ruin Alabama's season. And again, not predicting a win, predicting a really good ball game. Gage?
Well, and this is also the Alabama team that almost lost to USF earlier in the year.
1-2 on the road, and they beat a shitty LSU team. Handedly, I'll give them that. They're 1-2 on the road. They lost to Vanderbilt, and they lost to Tennessee. And in those two games, that offense struggled a little bit. I don't know. Gage, is that crazy? What do you think, man?
I think that it's possible because Nash is right. It's college football. But I'm just looking at everything, and I just don't see a path for Oklahoma to win the game. Like, their defense is good. I guess that would be a way they could muddy it up. But like the big weakness for Alabama is it looks like is rush defense, and Oklahoma can't run the ball. And I know I said Kentucky was probably the worst offense we faced this year. I'm lying. Oklahoma is by far the worst offense we faced this year. It's not even close. They're pretty terrible in every category. So I mean they've got a top 20 off our defense, but I just don't see it happening. I think Jalen Milroe's too good. Like maybe they make him sweat. I think you're right about that. Like I think that they can give him, some passionate senior night football for a little bit, maybe 30 minutes. But I just think overall, like Alabama's just way more talented of a football team, and it's going to be really tough for Oklahoma to hang on.
I would argue and say that they're much. I don't know. I think their weakness on defense is in the secondary a lot more than it is the run game. And I'm not saying Oklahoma exposes that. I think they're getting a little hyped up for that win in LSU because Garrett Nussmeier is struggling really bad. They can't protect Garrett Nussmeier right now. I think Bama can be hit in the secondary. I mean, Vanderbilt extended drives, throwing short, moving the sticks over and over and over again. And then go look at that third quarter in the Tennessee game. Nico popped them a couple of times, and Nico hasn't popped very many people this year.
Yeah,
but I don't want Oklahoma to win. Don't get me wrong.
I think you're right. I think that the way it matches up, I think Oklahoma can make them sweat. But I just like over the entire course of a football game, it's going to be really tough for them to continue to do it over and over and over again.
Oh no, it feels impossible, right? Like that
Yeah.
Oklahoma could actually beat them. But after
Yeah.
we were all there. We watched Oklahoma play in person. Like hard to believe
Yeah.
those guys beat anybody this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
They barely beat Auburn.
Yeah.
Like there's a almost realistic world where Oklahoma is a 0-win SEC team in their first year in the SEC. It's really like it's sadness is what's going on over there. And also, I have a question for you, Ghost, and throw it out to the rest of the Gage and Peyton too. Do y'all think Oklahoma would be better if they had kept Bob Stoops as the head coach and not pushed him off to the side for Lincoln?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, better right now than they are this current.
Yeah, he's still coaching. I mean, he's coaching the Arlington Renegades.
Lincoln had a lot of success, so it's hard to like go reverse
A lot of success,
all that.
but who recruited those players?
Lincoln
He
had a lot of
had success. He had success with the Bob Stoops team, and then as the years kept going on, the team got worse. The defense completely fell off the face of the earth.
The defense is really bad.
And then Lincoln Riley got poached by USC, and then now both programs are in a heaping pile of shit. So
yeah,
maybe they shouldn't have fired Stoops.
I mean, it's just
they didn't fire him, but let's be honest, they fired him. But
they let the Golden Boy take over.
Yeah.
That then took a hunting knife and gutted the damn thing.
They didn't want to risk losing Lincoln Riley.
No, they did not.
Yeah, because they knew that he'd get a head coaching gig somewhere, and somewhere soon. I would probably say they definitely have to be in a better shape, but at the same time, Stoops did have some pretty bad offenses randomly throughout his tenure at Oklahoma. Mid 2000s, 05 was pretty bad. Now, I will say this: he built those offenses around Adrian Peterson, and Peterson was pretty much hurt all the time for 2 straight years, and he whiffed at quarterbacks with Brett Bowman.
Well, there were the Trevor Knight years too in the early teens, like the early 2010, like to 2015 felt like a really bad time for Oklahoma offensively.
You weren't scared of Blake Bell?
No.
Understandably so. I mean, we'll see. I could easily be wrong. Alabama could blow them out of the water. And it's like I said, it's strictly just a feeling. Senior night, you've got those OU seniors that return. Seems like Brent Venables is going through a lot with his family right now. And so, I don't know, just a weird feeling that Oklahoma rallies a little bit. Makes it a good game. I'll say that. Now, Texas A&M, they travel to Auburn, also for a primetime kickoff, night kickoff in Jordan-Hare Stadium. Do you want A&M to win it all to maintain, the game's going to be huge next weekend anyways, but would you rather be the team that dashes A&M's playoff hopes, or as always, are you rooting for A&M to just go ahead and shit the bed this weekend?
Shit the bed. Always.
I listen. I could care less what happens to A&M this weekend, to be honest. But because I know that we've got to take care of business, and that's all that matters to me. But at the same time, it kind of would be nice just to have that on our resume. But because A&M loses this game, and then even if we go beat them next week, now all of a sudden they might be barely hanging on to being a ranked team. So it's a weird matchup for Texas A&M. So that I think it's a weirder matchup for them than we have with Kentucky for sure. So
no doubt.
So yeah. To that point, Gage, I think that the universe is just a funny place that works in mysterious ways, and I think A&M is going to lose, and then they're going to lose to Texas, and then at the end of the season, A&M fans are going to be like, "Well, y'all have no ranked wins. Y'all have no wins versus ranked teams," and it's like, "Well, yeah, right. Hey, that's not our fault, right?" Yeah, they're. I think they're. Look, I want them to win because I want it to look a little bit better, right? I have a lot of Aggie family members. I don't want them, looking like they're headed to the edge of a cliff or anything like that. But it looks like they're going to be fulfilling the 8-4, 8-5 prophecy of just. That's Aggie football right there. 7 or 8 wins.
I get what you're saying on that comment, but at the same time, if Texas just needs to handle business. At the end of the day, our strength of schedule is our strength of schedule. Like, I don't really think it's getting any better throughout these last 2 games. And with that strength of schedule, I think the important part is you can't when you have a weaker strength of schedule, well, like weaker by like I don't know, we'll probably end up somewhere around 35th in the country. I think that's what we are right now. You just can't lose games that you're supposed to win. You can't get upset. So I think this weekend is really, really, really important. And it's all about Texas handling business at that point. So I could care less if it would be nice to ruin A&M's hopes and us sit there and watch it. But at the same time, I don't really think A&M being ranked or not being ranked at the end of the season is going to change whether the fact if we go win these 2 games, that everything's out in front of us at that point.
I do agree, because if we win versus Kentucky and win versus A&M, we're not only in the SEC championship, but we're in the college football playoff, because it does there's no, even if we lose the SEC championship game, there's not going to be a strength of schedule argument that keeps a 2-loss Texas out with one of those losses being in the SEC championship.
Yeah.
I hate the strength of schedule argument because
stupid.
We have preseason rankings every year. We always overrank the hell out of a handful of teams. And hey, let's be honest, Texas is one of those teams for a long time.
Yeah.
But now it's Penn State because they beat no one, living off the one loss, the one close loss to Ohio State, and they're still top 5. Notre Dame has beaten no one outside of Texas A&M and Mike Elko's first game. But just making a point, the strength of schedule stuff is insane. Texas just needs to handle their business. I don't care if A&M wins this week or not. Honestly, I prefer they lose. Like, A&M recruiting is going to be a thing under Mike Elko. And they're currently trying really, really hard to flip one of our really, really good players. And so let's go ahead and have them lose this weekend in Auburn, Alabama. And obviously we get our chance to take care of them the week after that. But
weird stuff happens in Jordan-Hare, man.
No, absolutely. I mean, Vegas knows what they're doing. There's a 2.5-point spread on that game for a reason. Auburn is capable of moving the football. They just struggle to finish drives. Defense really isn't bad. So we'll see what happened. A&M really hasn't had to play a lot of ball the last 2 weeks. They had a bye week, and then they had New Mexico State, and they played everybody on the roster in that one. So we'll see. I think it'll be a really good game. I don't really have a prediction. Any of y'all feel good about making a prediction in that one?
It's such a strange game because Auburn does have a good defense, and just looking at this stats wise, Auburn has a good defense. Like you said, they move the ball. They actually average more yards per game than Texas A&M does, but they do struggle to score. I think the big thing is A&M going to be able to run the ball without Moss? And are they going to be able to do it consistently against a run defense that is very good, 13th in the country, third at the SEC? They only give up 104.5, and then you're missing arguably your best offensive player. So it's going to be interesting to see how it comes down, if it's a close game, if Reed needs to make some throws when it gets in a hairy situation. So I definitely think it's sketchy. I would not want to be in the situation that Texas A&M is in the week before, arguably their biggest game in the last 15 years, the week before. So yeah, it's interesting. I could definitely see it going Auburn's way. I think Auburn is a better team than their record shows, and I think that's probably the other sketchy part.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they played some close games, lost some close games, but ultimately, I mean, I think A&M's defense stands up pretty tall in this one, Nate. I think I said on the timeline A&M by a touchdown. Nash, you have a prediction? You kind of sounded like you would take Auburn in this spot.
I don't know what the score is going to be, but I'm taking Auburn by a field goal. I just think it's going to be one of those weird games where it comes down to I think it's going to be a last-second field goal. That's just my gut feeling I've had.
Josh, the only thing I'll say is that Peyton Thorne is no Lenore Sellers, so I don't think the Aggies have to worry about getting boat raced by 24 points like they did. But
I think what's his name? Hugh Freeze would trade in a heartbeat with all Shane, South Carolina.
Shane because A&M got a lot of pressure on Sellers, but he was just superhuman. Made some couple superhuman plays that really flipped that game upside down. So obviously Peyton Thorne's not going to do that.
Hugh Freeze Auburn might be a dangerous football team if Hugh Freeze ever gets a good quarterback.
He won't be around to see it. He's there to fix recruiting, and that's it. They're already calling for his head. I wouldn't be surprised to see what is this, year 2 of Freeze?
Yes.
Yeah, year 2. But I mean, they're going down a dangerous slope of giving dudes 3 years, and then
yeah,
well, not even 3 years, but like I don't know. Like I just think back to situations like who was the guy that they had before? He's dude at
Harsin.
UCF,
Oh,
right?
Arson. Sorry,
No, before Harsin.
Malzahn.
Yeah,
Gus
Malzahn. Yeah.
Malzahn.
If I were an Auburn fan, I'd rather have Gus than all that crap that's been going
Yeah,
on.
how many
And
times?
then on the Florida side too, it's like I'd much rather have Dan Mullen than what's been going on last. Like
Yeah,
I wonder if any of these big time programs ever regret kicking a coach out.
This is
Yeah,
a
I think
wild
sometimes
way
you
for you to
get
say. It's a wild way for you to say you miss Tom Herman, brother.
I did not say that. I was actually thinking about like how kind of it's a little bit different for Texas, but like no, yeah,
Hey,
don't ever put those words in my mouth ever again. No,
I can think back.
I'm anti-Tom here, okay.
I can think back not to you, but to a laundry list of Twitter accounts, some big, some small, that were screaming, "Hey, this Tom Herman guy never missed a bowl game. He never lost a bowl game after that 2021 season." Those people are a lot more quiet now. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I get it. I get it.
I was a Charlie Strong apologist, so I'm not trying to I'm not just going to side with the most popular team. But
Nash, we love our team, man. We're gonna apologize and make excuses for anybody most of the time. It's hard not to. So Michigan bought a quarterback yesterday for roughly $12 million. That's the word on the street. El Press, Dave Portnoy probably had a handful in that, or a little bit of a hand in that. I saw one Barstool employee tweet out. I don't know if y'all saw this. It was hilarious. But as soon as he committed or flipped to Michigan, Jack McGuire tweeted out and said, "Well, there goes the Barstool Christmas bonuses this year," which is low-key hilarious. But yeah, so I don't know. A $10 million quarterback. I know Nico was paid a lot of money too. We're at wild times right here. Would y'all be comfortable with your school paying $10-12 million for a single player?
I'm not getting the money anyways, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's not my money.
Are
we winning a national championship?
Others will follow, so yeah, that's fine.
I don't know. It's literally never going to affect my life outside of like what Gage just said. It might help us win a national championship.
Are we going to win or not?
If you want to spend $10 million of your hard-earned dollars on a football player at the University of Texas, by all means, go ahead. I'll just go ahead and ask if you just cut off a little bit of that chunk for some baseball too.
There you go.
We were talking about Cam Newton. That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny how quick times change. It is pretty much documented what Cam Newton and his dad Cecil Newton were asking for on recruiting trips, and they were playing one school against the other, asking for just a little bit more, and this was it. I mean, it was 150.
Think about what Cam would get nowadays.
Think about what Vince Young, what Tim Tebow, what Johnny Manziel, those guys. I was talking to Reggie McNeil on the show, and he was telling me beforehand. He was like, "I was just talking to my son, and I was like, you lucky. You about to get NIL and get all this other stuff. I can get anything." I was crying. I was laughing so hard because you forget about the guys that were really good and played, and now they have their kids coming up, and their kids are living a little bit different of a little different.
Or you could have been at A&M and paid Eric Dickerson a bunch of money, given him a free car, and he still doesn't even choose your school.
Shows up to the other school in the said Gold Trans Am, which is bought by your boosters. Gotta love that. Now, this is a fun thought that I had as well, Josh, because I'm not sure that the former Sooner, Sharon Moore, I'm just not sure from what I've seen this year. Not his inability to figure out something on that offense, okay? And now the defense took a big step back as well. So, they get Bryce Underwood. He wants to play for this coaching staff. We've kind of seen how that worked out at a couple other schools. This hurts, man. You can't say this name on this channel. All right, don't ever. I like you, Sherman, but you can't bring that up again. Okay, that one still stings. I remember where I was when Ryan Perlew committed to LSU over Texas, and tough day. But yeah, so definitely the NIL has made things a lot crazier. It promises to be another silly offseason as we get to that. Sorry, I just had to bring that up since it was big news yesterday. Any other games, topics, concerns, questions you guys have before we get out of here?
Army over Notre Dame, baby.
I just can't
I'd
see
love
it,
to
but
see
I
it.
would love it.
It might happen.
Look, Notre Dame sucks, so like it might happen. Like Notre Dame's not good.
Peyton, are you
We
going to
were
let him
talking
talk
about the
about
other
you
day.
like that?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You're wearing Notre Dame green. Don't let him talk about your team like that.
It's not my team. This is for Wicked.
For Wicked, okay. Where can
Like
I learn
no
about
guys on here know what that is.
Where
But
can I learn about
Hey,
Wicked?
now,
Is there
hold on.
like
Hey, now, Ghost, that could also be all of Army green.
Okay, fair enough.
Could be Army. She could
She's
be going
supporting
for
the
Army
troops.
right now.
I like that.
Yeah, she's for the troops, America.
Josh, I'm going to tell you right now, Minnesota is going to beat Penn State outright. It's just
I wouldn't be shocked.
row the boat, baby. It's happening. PJ Fleck and the boys have played really, really well. Last week, they grinded out a win. It wasn't their best win, but I think they were winners of 4 or 5 straight ever since the second half of their game at Michigan, which they almost rallied to win that game after being down 3 scores. They played really well. I hope Minnesota. Also, we need Minnesota to beat Penn State.
Would help out a lot. It help out a lot of SEC period if that happens.
Yeah.
So.
I miss UCF, the UCF days.
I'll give you another one that I was kind of thinking about was Virginia. I think Virginia SMU is kind of dangerous game for SMU.
I've kind of
That's
written
what I
off.
was kind of looking at.
I've kind of written off SMU, and I really hope that the committee kind of looks at it as well. Jennings is a really good quarterback, but they lost that tight end. I don't know how much SMU y'all watched, but RJ Maryland is a freak and
Yeah.
a really good player. He'll play on Sundays. Hard to match up with, but they lost him due to a season-ending injury, and so I don't know. Like you're saying, for me, that offense got a lot less scary, and I think I don't know if can Virginia score enough on them. Maybe we'll see, but.
And
Yeah,
speaking
I
of
mean-
season-ending injuries, that Ohio State one, that's not
That's a
not
huge
something
injury.
to just write off the center. Like that's what Texas fans. You remember Oklahoma? We lost Jake Majors after like the second or third snap for the game, and that was a big deal. Now it helps for like Ohio State to be able to get some reps in, but they're going off against. I think Gage had them when we did the contender or pretender. I think all of us had Indiana as a contender, so like this isn't just something to write off.
Pretender, but yes,
But yeah,
You said pretender on the Hoosiers, Gage?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man,
Yeah, you're gonna be regretting that when they're a semifinalist. Oh shit, man! He just
I'll say this though about Notre Dame.
Bucket.
Looking at Notre Dame, they've had 4. They had obviously they've had 3 close games, right? 3 games. That they had a 7-point game with Louisville. I don't really think I felt that Notre Dame was ever in danger in that game. And then obviously they lost to Northern Illinois and Texas A&M, and I brought this up earlier, but those 2 teams, Texas A&M and Northern Illinois, they both have top 10 defenses in college football. And the other top 10 defense that they're facing is Army. And I think that Army also is very good at holding the time of possession. So I think it's going to be a struggle for Notre Dame. I think it's going to be a real mud fest. And if there is an Army team that's going to do it, that's going to pull off something monumental like that, it's this one. And so yeah, I think that my eyes will definitely be paying attention because obviously we could use a Notre Dame loss. We could use as much chaos outside of Texas as possible. So just to solidify our spot, just in case something crazy happens to us.
yeah, definitely rooting for chaos. I mean, I want Indiana to beat Ohio State, even though I think a 2-loss Ohio State team probably still gets in the playoffs. But I said the last time we were all together that a 2-loss Texas team would still get in. The brands are going to matter, and they really, really are. I mean, they will look at what the teams are made of, but Indiana has a huge chance right here because there are a lot of people to assume, and an 11-1 Indiana might not make the college football playoff. So huge week for Kirk Cignetti and the boys.
I will say, like to back up what Gage just said about Army and Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame, their strength on defense is against the pass, and it's not like Texas where they got a really good run defense on the side. They got a decent run defense. It's not like middle tier, middle of the NCAA, but it's not good or amazing or anything like that. And Army's a really good, especially with that quarterback. They are a really, really good running team.
Yeah,
They are.
I think going to Mike's point here with the Florida Ole Miss game. I think this is like the week in a season that's been wild. This is the week that this season could really break open because there are a lot of games on the board where it's like, oh, could seriously happen. And like even when you look deep in, you're like, oh man, like this is an upset that I would even maybe put money on, type of thing. So yeah, I think that this week could solidify this craziness of the season, and we could have one of the crazier weeks that we've seen in college football in a long time. So
I mean, you could have like a Boise State loses to Wyoming. That would be insane, right? All while if Army beats Notre Dame, and then imagine Colorado beats Kansas, Arizona State beats BYU,
yeah,
Penn
or
State loses to Minnesota.
Kansas beats Colorado. I think Kansas has a legit shot. I think they're going to test Colorado, but yeah, worse to see them now than it was week 2.
I don't think Florida beats Ole Miss, but it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and then San Jose State, they might beat UNLV, who's making UNLV is kind of making a little late run towards the to making that 12th spot.
Well, that's all going to come down to that conference title game with their to do so. Time will tell. We'll see what happens there. What about there was one game I just looked at. Dang it, I wanted to bring it up.
My chariot is here. My chariot is here. So I am off to South Lake, home of Quinn Ewers.
Well, that's a good sign, but please be safe.
That wasn't Quinn running in the video, was it?
No, this was a 19-year-old.
Oh, man.
That was Quintavious out there running around.
Yeah.
No, he's at Gladiator 2 right now.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
That's right.
Good.
Hey, Ghost, can I piss you off real quick? I've never seen Gladiator.
All right, I'm out of here. How do I get
I paid.
I'm not a movie guy at all. It shocks people. I've never seen Gladiator.
Well, we'll have to figure out a way to do something about that because that is
maybe stick me in a Waffle House and
that's something that everybody must do. Gladiator is an essential part of a man's development in life. I've always said, but no, it's a fantastic film. Russell Crowe kills it, and then Joaquin Phoenix plays a terrific villain. And who doesn't love the old Roman times and gladiators? It's great. So. And like I said, though, I only ever watched it because of Vince. It's the only reason I ever watched it. I never would have given it a shot if it wasn't for my favorite player in the world, at the time, if he would have been a big fan himself. So, but yeah, I will say this. Me and Brandy were not able to do our sports betting show this week due to me being very busy with work and stuff. That's why I haven't been doing daily shows. But I do have one play out there for any of you degenerates that may want to sprinkle dollars on a football game. I think Arizona State is going to whip BYU by double digits. 10-point win. The spread is only 3. Okay. I think BYU, thank you for the backup, Football Texas. Gladiator is at least a 9 out of 10. It's top notch. But I think Coach Dillingham and the boys at Arizona State, they get a Cougar team that's going to be a little down after having their perfect season run by Kansas. Now BYU is still playing for
Texas Tech. They beat Arizona State but wait, hold on. Are you saying BYU lost?
BYU lost.
I thought you were saying Arizona State lost to Kansas.
No. BYU lost to Kansas last week, and so I think that they come into that one maybe just a touchdown because guess who's waiting? I think the return of that guy Cam Skadaboo is here. I think he finally gets back on the field and has a big day for Arizona State against the BYU defense. He's not fantastic against the run. So if you're looking for a sports betting play out there, that would be mine for the week. We didn't do our normal 5 plays, but good luck to anyone that is tailing there and decides to trust Coach Dillingham and the Sun Devils. All right, guys, anything else before we get you out of here?
Yeah, going to Arizona State. I think that they might sneak up and win that conference. I know we've been pretty high on Colorado, and I think that Colorado's obviously still a very, very good team. But yeah, Arizona State, man, they've been looking good, man, and they can really run the ball. And so it'll be interesting if we get to that point of an Arizona State Colorado matchup of if Colorado can get them off the field and not let them control the clock and just run the ball down their throats.
Yeah, Arizona State's been playing some great ball this year. I'll say the last thing that I would mention is I know that nobody with the shit that matters for the Heisman vote is watching, but if they are, please do what's right. We've never seen a player like Travis Hunter in college football. And if he doesn't win the Heisman, there's something seriously wrong with the award. There's never been, I don't think there's ever been a two-way play like in modern college football. Like you can go back to Tommy Nobis when Tommy Nobis is out there playing linebacker and offensive line, sure, right? But like there's guys like Champ Bailey, right? But as far as like full time, every single snap out there on offense and defense, we just there's nothing like what we're watching right now.
I think a lot will be solidified over these last couple of weeks. I
Yeah,
think there's a lot more eyes on Travis Hunter now too. Everybody's going to be tuned in and watching him, and they're going to. I mean,
he's going number one in the NFL draft. So, like,
his buddy at quarterback might go number one. We'll see who has that number one pick. But yes, I agree with you. He has a pretty high chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn. I'm thinking it's going to be a very fun Heisman finish. I think it's pretty open, but time will tell. He is definitely a stud. I think that they might need to give the guy a couple breathers. He's getting torched by guys from Utah there in the second half of that game. Commentators are just going on and on about how good he is, and then the next play he gets ran by, and then the next series he gets ran by, and I was like, I'm so high on this guy right now. Let's get him a breather so I can remain high on his Heisman chances because he's obviously a fantastic. Everything you said, Nash, is spot on. He's a dude. I mean, he's not. We don't see guys like that. Like I want him to a little bit of help, give him a breather or two so he can still. I don't want those highlight or those touchdown highlights on his film, man. Some kid from Utah is out here saying like, "Yeah, look what I did to Travis Hunter." Yeah, after he played 160 snaps both ways every game of the season in late November.
Yeah, when he's literally played he's played 2 seasons at this point.
Yeah, and got banged up last year all through the season. I was worried that he's going to be a little bit, not injury prone, but he had some injury almost all of last year, so I was a little worried about that coming into this year. But man, obviously he was ready. Kansas, Colorado, man, that's going to be a really fun game. Devin Neal playing really well at tailback. Jalen Daniels finally has it figured out. Kansas' defense has never really been their issue this season. And one thing Kansas hasn't done is they haven't got blown out. Kansas doesn't get whipped by anybody, really. I think they lost one game maybe by double digits. I don't know what game it was. But they'll challenge Colorado. They will absolutely challenge Colorado. It should be a fantastic game. I'm not going to do the whole Manning 1 year, 2 year, 3 year debate because I have my opinion on that. Everybody has their opinion on that.
We'll see how he plays. I mean, I think that's like the big thing with Arch is
I think it's just matter how he plays. I think that there's already a plan in place.
The 1 year
will be a roadmap.
I think they've already answered it. They said 2 years.
Yeah,
they said he plans to be here for 2 years because they want to get to like that 20 game mark. But Ghost, they haven't lost a game by double digits. Yeah, you're right. Like Kansas, they
lost a lot of close games.
23-17 versus Illinois, 23-20 versus UNLV, 32-28 versus West Virginia, 38-27. Or no, okay, there's the one. There's the 11.
I thought it was one game.
There's to TCU, and then Arizona State barely lost to them. And these are some good football teams that they're losing to in the Big 12. I know we like to rag on the Big 12, but
they're not getting decent teams. No. And even, non-conference, like you said, Illinois' team wasn't bad at the time. But yeah, there you go. So it definitely not going to be for this 1 year. He's going to play football games until they think he's comfortable and ready to go to the league. Texas will be fine at quarterback after that. But listen, when it comes, let's enjoy it. But first, we got a few more games of the Quinn Ewers era. And so one last question, guys. Are you still up here with your championship expectations. Texas is still more than capable, in your opinions, of getting it done, winning a title in 2024. I guess it would be done in 2025, but y'all still remain confident.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research to reconfirm my feelings. I talked to you about this a little bit, and I've got some more to do, especially as the bracket comes out within the next couple weeks, and we really see who's going to play who and what the path is really going to look like. But I'll say this, man, like there's to win a national championship, you have to have certain ingredients, and having the defense Texas has is one of them. And so I think that defense that Texas has, I think it gives them a pretty solid shot of winning a national championship. So
That's
yeah,
why. That's why we're going to win it. Defense wins championships.
yep,
Absolutely true. And I mean, you look at anybody that's won a title, since what we talk about, Gage. Only that Auburn defense was one of the only outlier as far as the defense was outside all of the major defensive.
yeah. 2019 LSU. Okay, right here was the. We'll talk
worst.
about it more when we have more time. But the 31st yards per game was 31st, and points per game was 33rd. And Auburn was 60th ranked defense that year in yards per game and 53rd in points per game. And those are the only two like big time outliers. 2014 Ohio State was another one that was they weren't as bad. But what do you have in those situations to overcome that defense? You have somebody as special as Cam Newton, somebody as special as Joe Burrow, and then two all-pro wide receivers. So yeah, I think that's what it takes to overcome a defense that's not very good. But everybody else you look at that's won national championships, they've got a top 5 or a top 10 defense at worst. And so, yeah, I think that you have to have that in order to win. I think that's a key indicator if a team's ready to win a national championship, especially in this new playoff era where you have to win 3 games in a row. Defense travels. Sometimes offense doesn't. I think we've seen it with powerful offenses that get into national championship games or get into the playoffs and they meet a defense that's very, very good and they have a hard time moving the ball because defense travels. And if you can't play defense, and especially in a playoff, you're gonna struggle unless you have someone superhuman. And I don't think any of us have seen a superhuman at quarterback such as a Cam Newton throughout this year. I don't think any of the playoff teams really have somebody like that.
It's like baseball. Good pitching is always going to beat good hitting in baseball, and good defense.
Sport that doesn't come true right now. But go ahead. Yeah, I love what you're saying.
Good defense is going to beat good offense.
Yeah.
The entire point of playing offense is to scheme around defensive players and to try and move the ball to the opposite side. And if the opposing defense is playing smart, sound defense, I'm sure Ghost can attest to this, that there's nothing that pisses off an offensive coordinator more. And probably not nothing, but that's one of the things. That's one of the top pet peeves for offensive coordinators is a defense playing just lights out. It's hard because then you have to start creating things on the fly.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to get too far into it. I think that we'll talk about it more. We'll have more in-depth conversations as it get closer. But when you look at Texas' defense, there's not really too much of a weakness to attack, especially in the secondary. Who are you going to throw at, right? Like it's not like we've got one really really good guy and then one guy that's not. No, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5 very good guys in coverage, and then you just look at our linebackers and the way they tackle and. Obviously, our interior defensive line was a question for us, and I don't think it's any sort of a question anymore. So, yeah, our defense is solid from start to finish, and I think that's the point is, like, well, who are you going to scheme? Even if you're an offense that runs the ball well and throws the ball well, what are you going to scheme? What are you going to do? So I'm not too nervous about scheming other than Kalen DeBoer. He's probably the one that makes me the most nervous for obvious reasons.
I understand why we have a lot of confidence about our defense, but when you go look at the offenses that we've played, man, there's much, much better offenses. There's much, much better offensive coaches out there. And so I am also confident, but at the same time, I'm definitely not ruling it out that, almost no one out there has the ability to move the football on us just because, you just mentioned Kalen DeBoer paired with a Jalen Milroe. There's a couple of other combos out there that give me a little bit of pause. And that's not
that's kind of what's going to happen. Like one that you're going to have like a good offenses aren't going to they're not good off. Bad offenses are always going to look bad, especially versus good defense. And we can kind of having a good defense can kind of make a decent offense look a little bit worse. Now I know you're saying like games outside of that, but like too, I was going through and looking at the 2011 Alabama season because that might be
Yeah.
one of the best defensive seasons I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because like people were saying, hey, well, Texas hasn't played any good quarterbacks this year. Texas hasn't played any good teams. The 2011 Alabama is almost a 1-for-1 with Texas as far as examples
they
go.
have great. I mean, I have it right here. 183.6 yards per game. They gave up 8.2 points, which is absolutely ridiculous. But I go back because I know the point across from it is, well, you haven't played good offenses and your strength of schedule's weak. Well, I also went through and looked at. I've been going through and looking at that stuff too. And Alabama's strength of schedule that year was not that good, and they didn't play any super stacked offenses as well. So I'm not taking anything away from that 2011 Alabama defense. It is
Exactly, but that's
definitely the
the
best
point.
defense
Is
I've
like
seen in my lifetime. But at the same time, I agree with you. Like, you have to look at all that stuff. You have to look at strength of schedule. You have to look at the strength of offenses that some of these teams have played. And going through, there's been multiple times where a defense, I think it's hard to be number one defense in the country at this point in the season, playing in a Power Four conference, and just automatically be like, well, they haven't. But I get what you're like. I get the point. Like, obviously, there is more
I
talented
mean,
teams. So
that's why. Look, this is why we play 12 games in the season, right? This is why, because easily Texas could just go out there and yes, we're a great defense, and we can just go beat the ever loving crap out of somebody, right? And you can say, hey, that's a great defense, but to consistently do it week in and week out, at that point, I don't care what that. That's one of the things is, especially in baseball and whenever you're on offense or defense, it doesn't matter. With the amount of repetitions that happens for a pitcher to even if he faces all the worst batters in the league, right? For a pitcher to have a sub 1 ERA is that's still a crazy good accomplishment to have because it doesn't matter. You're still there's always going to be the chance of somebody to be able to do something, and that's going to happen. But if you're a top level defense, that just doesn't happen ever. You don't allow it to happen. Like a game like Mississippi State, Van Buren. If we're not a good defense, Van Buren actually probably tears us up.
I could name multiple
Diego
defenses
Pavia.
from the past 10 years that if they played this exact same schedule, if they're Texas, probably
We're
the
either
worst
barely
defense in the
ball eligible
SEC.
or we have 4 losses at the end of the year.
Yeah, because they're going to struggle against certain teams because that's how bad. I mean, that's how bad we've had it. So, it's tough to attack this Texas defense, but I think you are right, Ghost. Like, obviously, when we see it in Alabama,
I'm not trying to be right. I'm just saying,
no, you are right. But like when we see in Alabama with a Jalen Milroe and a Kalen DeBoer, like you're going to have to, play your top at that point. And if obviously, if you hold Alabama to 24 points in that game, you're feeling pretty good about it, and but if you give me a Penn State match, and I think that's what we talk about going back to the bracket, but if you give me a Penn State matchup, I'm pretty confident that our defense is going to show up, and it's going to be really hard for Penn State to move the ball on us.
Well, yeah, I've been shitting on Penn State for 2 weeks. They're bums. No, you gotta be real careful what you say about Texas football. People will take it as negative and run with it. So that's I know better. I know my
I
problem.
know when Taysom Hill played us, and that's exactly what I'm saying.
I'll say this though, but we have played a good offense. We played a really good Georgia offense, and we held yes, the point total is 30 to 15, right? But we held them to 3.99 yards per play. If you go and you look at their total offense and you go to their game log, 7.45, 8.16, 4.85 when they played Kentucky. A good defense, and that's kind of what we got to watch out for a little bit. 6.83, 5.77, 7.86, 3.99, 6.23, 3.883 versus Ole Miss, and then 6.38. It's just for people to just say, hey, Texas hasn't played any good offenses. Well, one, that's just not true. Two, if you go and you look at the Georgia game, outside of Ole Miss, which is what that's point that's 0.17 off right there, or 0.14 off. It's like, and you're talking about yards per play. Like this Texas defense is legit. I don't know. I'd
No
have
one
to.
said they weren't
We've
legit.
already played.
Like I said, I apologize for saying one thing that even could be misconstrued.
You kidding me?
Questioning Texas football. I got the two guys in here that are gonna
Don't
run.
you ever?
So I definitely think the defense is legit. That is all. But yeah, no, Kentucky.
It's not over for LSU, by the way. But they do need to fire Brian Kelly.
What?
I think I brought that up to you.
I thought you said.
in
I
the
thought you were
comments.
saying this season. I thought you were
No,
saying
it's definitely over this season.
I was like,
I texted guys yesterday. I said that definitely felt a little bit like the Ewers Herman dagger towards the end of that season whenever it was that Quinn decommitted, and yeah, that was I think that was like the thing, and that might be the thing for LSU. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna go. You're with Brian Kelly. You're gonna go 8-4 every single year, and you're gonna win your Cheez-It Bowl. But that was a huge decommitment for them, and I think it kind of shows the way the program's heading under him, which is mediocrity, and that's not LSU, and it's obviously not Texas either, which is why they got rid of Tom Herman. Part of the reason why they got rid of Tom Herman. But I think it's going to be the same thing for Brian Kelly. I think you can't risk heading into mediocrity for a long period of time if you're LSU. So I'd probably go ahead and cut ties with Brian Kelly, but I don't know the contract situation or anything like that either, so I haven't looked into it. But yeah, they're rich, they got money, buy it out.
It's crazy looking back at the beginning of the year where LSU played USC, and we thought that was
we thought USC was going to be like good. I thought USC was.
We thought that was a great game. We were like, oh my god! But to Joe's point earlier about like AP voters, right? And these are the same people that are complaining about Texas strength of schedule. They had absolutely not a fucking clue of what the who was a good football team and who wasn't. And then now they're the ones sitting here complaining about Texas not like. It's just like it's ridiculous.
When we got Schloss, I said that Texas had the best athletic director in the country, and a lot of LSU fans chimed in very hard. Actually, that was the one fan base that came at me the hardest out of any fan base that said that we did not have the best athletic director, that they by far had the best athletic director. So it's kind of funny to see them turn heads on old Scott here towards the end of this football season.
Yeah, going to be another wild finish of conference play, Heisman race, playoff race. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys move on, Painted Posse. And just move on. I don't like anything about Brian Kelly, to be honest with you, and the way that he resonates with recruits or with LSU fans. And so maybe nothing against him as a coach. I just don't think he's a mix with you. That's why I say I don't think that matchup works out. But
I just keep going back to the video of him doing this dance.
Just killing it. Walker Howard. Guys, throw a quick like on the video, please. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I have got to get to work. So we're going to end it right here. Thank you all for watching, for tuning in. We will be back Sunday for postgame, for hopefully talking about a dominant Texas victory. And with that being said, guys, hook 'em horns. Y'all have a good weekend of ball watching, and thanks for tuning in.
Yep.